I just asked what they are. I got you. I'm only going to count them when you rip off the ticket.
I'm not a film student.
So when you rip off the tickets, when I'm going to count them. Is that okay?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. 1, 2.
Oh, I have one of those.
Yeah, I saw so many great films in here, and it's kind of surreal to be back here. You know, it took me. I started writing this film in 1998 here in Boulder, and then I moved to New York in '99 and just tried to hustle the film. Never could get it off the ground. And all those years, I think, dreaming about this film, I think I was always walking a fine line between delusion and reality. You know, and this shows that I wasn't crazy, I guess, that all you people are real here. Let me see here. All my life I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I always dreamed of like following in the footsteps of Scorsese or Coppola or George Lucas. In fact, I slept with a picture of Martin Scorsese above my bed when I was a kid, right next to a Porsche 911. That's not my dream car anymore. I guess Scorsese's not really my dream filmmaker anymore. But anyway, when I was 18 and I had to go to school, you know, go to college, I was really disappointed to come here. You know, we couldn't really afford tuition at NYU, and I thought it was a real compromise that I had to come to school here. And in my first class that I had was taught by Jim Palmer. He showed Rear Window, and it just really just opened my mind to the possibilities, to the narrative possibilities of film and storytelling, and I really fell in love with my education here. So much so that in years past, I've had many friends that go to NYU, and I've visited them, you know, in their classrooms many times, and I really feel blessed that I had my education here and continue to have my education here. You know, when I've gotten so many great, you know, still getting critical reviews from my film professors, you know, on email based on this film. And, you know, Phil Solomon is like that like angel or the devil on my shoulder all the time. Every time I do anything in filmmaking, Phil is telling me how I'm doing it wrong. So I'm very thankful. I think it's a very special place to teach or to learn about filmmaking. It's very different than any other place out there, and it's a dream to come back here and share my film with all of you. So I'll be here afterwards and do a Q&A, and if you want to throw tomatoes at me or something and say I'm representing it wrong, I'll be here for that.
I was curious if you could talk a little bit about appealing for an R rating for this movie and that process.
Yeah, so, you know, in order to tell an honest, he's talking about the R rating, appealing for the R rating. In order to tell an authentic story of a hello? In order to tell an authentic story of a relationship, I think sexuality is a part of that. I think sex is a dialogue in any relationship, or it can be a bone of contention in a relationship. And I just wanted to make sure that the sexuality in the film was represented in the same way that all the other scenes were represented, you know, kind of with a certain rawness and honesty and just kind of looking at it. And, you know, instead of having a scene where they maybe talk and get to know each other, there's like the oral sex scene where they get to know each other and build trust that way. And it's just important to me that's a key to a relationship. But we never try to sensationalize the sex in the movie, you know, or sensationalize anything. Well, there's a few things that are, but you know, we try for the most part to just give it a respect. And then when we got hit with the NC-17, I was kind of shocked because it was never our intention to do something like that, you know. And I think that, you know, we tried to treat sex with responsibility in the film, and you know, there's consequences to the sex in the film, and you know, it's not just, you know, kind of eroticized, titillating, you know, sex scenes. So we fought it. You know, I had you know, Harvey Weinstein, who's like a great fighter, and it's much better if he's fighting on your side, fighting against you. And you know, he got all up in arms about it and hired these big lawyers and did things that only he could do. You know, he would have me come into his office and brainstorm how he would do it. And 2 days before this appeal that we had, you know, he had an idea. He said, I know what I'm going to do. He says, let's pick a red state, someplace in the middle of the country, Kansas City. He says, tomorrow night we're going to have 300 parents. We're going to do a screening for 300 parents, and after the screening, we're going to give them you know, questionnaires and ask them what would they rate this film. And so he does it. You know, he does this amazing thing, and 75% of the parents said it should be rated R. So we brought that information in, and you know that it was the first time in history that the MPAA ever unanimously voted to overturn a rating. So I thought it was. For 16 millimeter?
Because after seeing this in black and white, A Portrait of Sean Combs, I feel that you're a champion of 16 millimeter film production.
Yeah.
Dying field.
Yeah, thank you. I love 16 millimeter because I think it's, you know, there's a lightness to it. You can move with it still. Sometimes I think, you know, the machine behind making a film becomes so big that it overshadows everything that's happening in front of the camera, you know? And nothing makes me more sick to my stomach than to walk down the street in New York City and see, you know, like 4 blocks, you know, sanctioned off with like trucks and trailers, and then I walk by like a window and they're shooting a close-up, you know? There's so much going on behind the scenes. So we had 1 truck to make the movie with, and we had the 16 millimeter, and we just, you know, I mean, for the past we shot 16, for the present we shot on the red camera. And you know, 16 is just a beautiful format to go, you know, live and breathe with. And I love the grain, you know, structure of 16 and the warmth. But mostly it's about the flexibility to move with it, you know. And I wanted the past, you know, I see Blue Valentine as a duet. It's a duet between a man and a woman, between their past and their present, between their youth and their young adulthood, between love and hate. You know, pick any battling dualities, that's what it's about. It's contrast, light and dark. And it's also about film and video, and so I try to figure out a way to have each style of the film, you know, the past and the present, kind of reflect subjectively how these characters felt in their life. So the past is shot on Super 16. It's all with one 25 millimeter lens. You know, I read that Rasan book. He said to change the lens is like changing someone's glasses. I think in my first film, Brother Tide, which, you know, I made, you know, when from 20 to 24, I think when Phil Solomon saw it, he was like, oh Jesus Christ! He says it's look ma no hands. You know? He says just ride the bike, Derek. You know, so I wanted to make this film. You know, that stuck with me. You know, and Phil also would tell me, you know, form must illuminate content. And I think with Brother Tide, it was content illuminating form. You know. With this film, I wanted to be invisible as a filmmaker, and so I had a lot of issues with Jim, actually, because the instinct is you want to show what you can do, and you want to make it, you know, flashy and everything, and I really like had Jim in chains the whole time making the movie, you know, and it took us about a year to edit this film, and because that balance was really delicate to find, and yeah.
I'm wondering how old that little girl is and how much time they spent with her, because I was very impressed by the bond she had with her.
Yeah, she's, the question's about Faith, who plays Frankie. She's 6 years old. You know, I kept casting girls to play that role, and they kept growing up on me. Like, my niece, Jocelyn, was going to be in that movie, was going to be here for a while, but, you know, she was too old. And Faith came into a casting audition, and I always would ask the kids what to tell me their dream that they had last night, and she just had such a great dream. It like made no sense, you know. It was so creative, and then she did this trick with her ponytails where she could swing one forward and one backwards. She has that way that she talks, you know, and so it was very clear that she was the girl, and we just tried to have fun with her. I'll give you an example of how I would direct her, okay? So I didn't want her to be a perfect little actress because I feel like kid actors are so annoying. They're like adults, right? And I wanted them to be a kid, you know, so when we're shooting that breakfast table scene, so it's written into the script that she doesn't like oatmeal, but Faith loves oatmeal. So it's, you know, I tell her to say she doesn't like it, and of course it doesn't work. It doesn't convince you because she loves oatmeal, you know. So I said, Michelle, why don't you put a little salt in her oatmeal? You know? And so we took we took one, take one, and she ate it. And I was like, Michelle, I thought you were going to put salt in there. She says, I did. I said, maybe put a little more. She came to, you know, she kept. This is like every time we do it, she's eventually like putting like a half a cup of salt. On take 12, and Michelle's like that. You know, she loves her some salty oatmeal. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got the producers and what their roles are?
The producers? Yeah, the producers, you know, when I started writing it, it was just myself and my friend Joey basically in a room writing it, and we stood over a copy machine and printed out 12 copies and sent it out to 12 different producers, and no one wanted to pay attention to us, and eventually keep working on it, and eventually people start to surround the film, and those people, you know, for the most part were these producers who believed in making the film. They believed in what I wanted, you know, my vision for the film, and you know, they help take care of the business side of things. They're there to not be yes men or yes people. They're there to challenge, you know, the director, I think, and you know, they set up my meetings with my actors. They got the financing together. They introduced me to crew. They negotiate the deals to, you know, to sell the film. You know, I talk to my producers every day. You know, my next film is the same producers that produced this film, and we all just kind of trust each other. You know, and yeah, we just talk every day. They're very integral to making it. I used to have this thing that like producers were bad guys, you know, and the director was the good guy, but I don't feel that way. I think you can find a very good supportive producer, you know. Okay, that's it, Pablo?
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, I just want to say, awesome film. Thank you for coming. It's really great to hear you speak. The film is amazing. How come anyways, I think you're still selling tickets. Yeah. No, I definitely